Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Top of the List. Coming at you, I am Dom, here with my co-host RB. And new kind of segment we're going to be doing here because if you guys didn't know, RB and I major Star Wars fans, and tonight was the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 2. We talked about the trailer earlier on. We've talked about it in a few other episodes. Not going to talk about Season 1 in this one too much, but we want to talk about the premiere, obviously. Very excited to see what they could do in Season 2. A lot of rumors we talked about in our trailer reaction that I was kind of trying to get Ryan on the rumor mill there with me. And, now we have some definitive answers. But first, before we go into Chapter 9, The Marshal, gotta say we are going to start off with our score, general thoughts, spoiler-free for the first, 5-6 minutes of the of our discussion here after I finish my intro. And then we're going to give a giant spoiler warning, and we're going to talk in-depth plot details, spoilers, Easter eggs, a few that I saw. Maybe Ryan picked out a few Easter eggs of his own, and we'll go like that. So right now we're going spoiler-free, score, and our general thoughts. RB, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so out of the gate, let me preface this. I wasn't really looking forward to watching this. I'm not going to lie. Was extremely, I wouldn't say disappointed, but I just found the beginning, first few episodes of season 1 of The Mandalorian rather slow. I wasn't really into it until we got into like chapter 6, 7, 8. That's when it got really good. So I was like, okay, I'll put this on. I'm going to watch it because we got to do the show, obviously.
The finale was really awesome.
The finale was awesome, but, I was expecting it to be a slow start. This premiere knocked my socks off. I loved it. I cannot wait to watch more of this season. So out of the gates, I'm going to give this one probably an 8.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Above great. I wouldn't say it was quite magnificent, but really, really a great season premiere. Must watch for anyone. So anyone who didn't watch season 1, get on season 1. Let's watch that so you can start watching along with our reviews here on season 2. Because this was an incredible premiere episode of season 2.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I'm going to give it a half point below you, I think. I'm going to give it this one episode, I guess it's chapter 9, but it's season 2, episode 1, The Marshal. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. I'm going to be honest, guys. About, I'd say, 85% of this episode, I thought I was going to give this one a 7. I was going to give this a much lower score until some of the stuff at the end of the episode happened. Because I'd say, like, if you were to break this down into, acts 1, 2, and 3, and act 3 being towards the end of the episode when they have a bit of a larger scale battle. I don't want to go any spoilers, but there's a larger scale battle that once that starts, I think that's when like act 3 starts of this episode, because this was longer than any Mandalorian episode we have seen.
54 minutes.
Yeah, and I love that. I wanted longer episodes from the beginning of this show. It felt too short, which was a big problem I had with the first part of season 1, just the same as you did, RB. And so I'd say, yeah, like acts 1 and 2, I feel like it was more of the same for me, although I did enjoy the new additions that we got. So I was going to give this a 7 out of 10, but act 3 really catapulted this one into great territory for myself. So I think maybe we should talk about not the characters necessarily, but just generally, did the performances carry over nicely for you? The characters we do know that are going to be in this are obviously Din Djarin, the Mandalorian himself, and Baby Yoda. Was the stuff more of what we had come to like? Was there anything new that you liked, Ryan? Action, anything else? I can't really think of, what other thoughts do you have without spoilers?
I mean, I will say, and you say without spoilers here, so I don't want to say too much without saying, I don't know, I felt like Baby Yoda was a little bit underutilized in,
Me too.
or the child, I guess, if we're using the official name, was a little underutilized in this episode. It was just a lot of shots of him hiding, which was kind of ridiculous. But otherwise, I think the rest of the cast was amazing. We'll talk a little bit in our spoiler section about new cast members. But, we had some returning, characters who made cameos in season 1 back here in season 2, which I was happy about. And some new actors as well that I thought gave standout performances.
Absolutely. I mostly agree with you on that one, including the Baby Yoda stuff. Feels like they kind of watered down his appearances in this episode, but, mostly play for comedy, which I like. And, what can you do? It's the first episode. He can't be in every shot, even though how cute and adorable he is.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, maybe we'll go into this more in spoilers. I just felt like he could have been utilized more in this episode, as we know he has abilities of the Force, and I feel like there were certain parts in this episode where that could have
Me
been
too.
touched on, could have been
Yeah.
utilized, and it wasn't, which was kind of a bummer.
I also agree, very much so. And I think we could just talk about, a little bit of the behind the scenes filmmaking here. Two things I want to note. See if you agree with me on this, Ryan. The direction seemed a step above everything we had seen thus far in The Mandalorian, including, Jon Favreau directed this episode.
Yep.
Big fan of Jon Favreau. Even the premiere he directed last season, I didn't think was even on the level of this one. I think
No,
the
not at
directing
all.
was, totally a step above of what he had ever done on The Mandalorian, as well as another big shout out I got to give to the director, Jon Favreau, in this one. The aspect ratio change. I love seeing those black bars extend up and we get the full view in
Yeah.
kind of the act 3. We don't want to say what is in full view, but once
Right.
you get, I think they must have used IMAX cameras because it looked cut above the details we had been getting with the black bars before. And kind of my final note in this spoil-free section, Ryan, I feel like the visual effects have taken a massive leap forward in this episode alone. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. So a couple of points there, talking about the direction, I do agree. Really well done by Jon Favreau. This was every bit as good as, to me, the original first 3 Star Wars films when it comes to direction. Really was locked in the whole episode as if it were a mini film, and I think that also speaks to the length. And then I'm sorry, the second point you were making.
Visual effects.
Yeah, so the visual effects. So this episode, I think, was very, of course, heavily reliant on CG, but I think it was well utilized. There were certain scenes that I feel maybe overused it, and not the scenes you would expect. I think the action sequences where it was utilized was great. The one that comes to mind is, like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but like when we have Amy Sedaris' character. Spoiler alert: she reprises a role here.
That's
And
not that much of a spoiler.
Yeah, I know. But I felt like her droids were a little, like, you could tell that they weren't actually there and, sort of just animated in.
It kind of reminded me of the Phantom Menace special effects for a second, just
Yeah.
because those droids were from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about the other Phantom Menace callback. I'm not sure if you picked up on it, Ryan, but let's stop here then.
Yep.
Guys, spoiler alert. Go watch The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, then come back at this point in the video and join us for some spoiler talk. So, final warning, spoilers. Woo! So, I guess we should talk about, let me finish off that thought on that Easter egg. It kind of has to do with the new character we get in this one, Cobb Vanth. He, Mando goes to Tatooine, returns to Tatooine in this one, and he finds a mining town, and the marshal of this town that's in charge of protecting it walks into the bar when Mando arrives, donning the armor of Boba Fett, and my jaw was on the floor, dude. Oh my goodness. What did you think about Cobb Vanth in this episode, man?
As disappointed as I was when he took off the mask and it wasn't Boba Fett, I thought Timothy Oliphant did a magnificent job in this role. Straight out of what we expect from The Mandalorian, a space Western, straight out of a Western town, the sheriff walking in, the take no nonsense sheriff. I loved him. I loved his backstory. This is where I disagree with you when you said that I would consider Act 2 was where we learn more about his character. And I love that. I love the flashback. To me, that gave some perspective, which I was, I thought lacked in season 1 of what the timeline was like. I really liked that. I liked his backstory and, how he found the armor, because we knew it wasn't Boba Fett. So how did this guy get the armor?
I'm gonna comment there, man. The flashback, I feel like they could have just left it and maybe even knocked a few minutes off of this episode. They didn't need the flashback. He just said, I picked it up from some Jawas. I think that was more than enough for me. I'm not
Yeah,
necessarily sure I
I
needed to
think it was
see it.
important, and I think there are other viewers out there that would agree with me to
Uh-huh.
get if anything, to get the timeline perspective, to get it
Yeah,
started when we were watching the Death Star, fall, the second
that
one.
was a great Easter egg.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that really helped me as a viewer, someone who, isn't as completely locked into the Star Wars universe as yourself, understand more what the timeline is. Because I don't think there were many references on what the timeline was in season one.
Just the fact that the Empire had fallen basically
Right.
was all we
Yes.
had to go off of. And another thing with Cobb Vanth is, when we get to see that flashback sequence, maybe I'm nitpicking too much. A little bit of narration and exposition there. That's kind of why I knocked this one down a little bit at first. That's why I thought it was going to be a 7. But what was pretty awesome, I think, is, Mando's riding the awesome speeder bike, and then Cobb Vanth comes up next to him riding
Okay.
one
Yes.
of. Do you know
Yeah.
what it is, Ryan?
Anakin Skywalker's from the pod race.
It's his pod race engine from the
Yeah.
Phantom
Mhm.
Menace.
Yeah. I did
That was
catch
so
that.
cool. I
Yeah.
thought that was a great callback.
That was awesome. I didn't know if it was his, or if it was just, maybe that was the mode of transportation in Tatooine. But hold on, jumping back, I just want to say I love that this was on Tatooine, this whole
Yeah.
episode. I feel like a lot of the times in the newer Star Wars creations, whether it's the last 3 films, or we saw it in Solo, it's constantly creating new planets we haven't seen before. I love that this was a pure callback to Star Wars films, to 4, 5, and 6, or the original trilogy on Tatooine. We have the Tusken Raiders, we have the Bantas, we have Boba Fett's armor. We talk about the Sarlacc pit. I just,
Yeah.
I love that it was a pure callback there. Got me, really into a nostalgic mood.
Me too. And I think that's basically what this episode did much better than a lot of the episodes in season 1. A lot of callbacks. There were some, but they were few far in between, in season 1. This one went right into it. Let's get Star Wars fans into it. Let's get the fans that have been following these movies and that are starting to love this show. Let's get them into it. Even if this is, maybe for a younger crowd, let's appeal to all the fans. That's what I loved about this one.
I do want to say one more thing. Sorry, we're talking about Tatooine, but before we even get to Tatooine, how awesome is that opening sequence?
That was awesome fight, man.
Yeah.
I love seeing those.
That.
I don't know what they're called. Maybe like, I want to say Zabraks or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But the pig-looking guys with the giant axes fighting in the ring. I love that. That was so cool.
Yeah, great intro, and then you have the awesome fight scene where the Cyclops-looking guy, I think voiced by John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Trying to run away as all of his goons are trying to hold down the Mandalorian, and just so easily handles like 6 guys on his own. He starts with what are they called, the Whistlers, or
whispering needles or something like
that.
Yeah,
the things that have the younglings use to protect themselves. And I love that. You have Baby Yoda, he sees him charging it, so he closes up the little pod, and that's just a great sequence. And then hangs him up, and he goes, what did he say? I promise you won't die at my hand. And then hangs him up there, and he says, wait, aren't you going to cut me down? That wasn't part of the deal. And then walks away and shoots the light out as whatever the creatures are, presumably eat this guy.
Yeah, totally. And, on the graffiti when in that opening shot when he's walking down, a lot of little tiny Easter eggs. You could see there's a little kind of cartoon drawing of Watto. If you don't remember who he is, he's in the Phantom Menace. He's the original owner of Anakin Skywalker. He's the little flying guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
there's a little cartoon drawing of him on there. And C-3PO is in one of
I didn't
the
see that.
cartoons.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe go back and check for that one as well as Chewbacca and the giant thing that comes out of the asteroid. You see a little cartoon drawing as well over there. I caught those. I think that I was just looking for that because I knew there was going to be stuff on those walls with all the graffiti.
I did see a creature similar. I didn't realize it was to Watto. But I didn't see all these other ones, so that's awesome. I'll definitely go back and give it a look.
Yeah, awesome. So I think we need to get into kind of like this Act 3. they're on Tatooine, they're in the mining town, and a crate dragon barges through, eats a giant, one of those, I don't know what they're called, the tusk thingies that the Tusken Raiders.
Oh, yeah, and those the banthas?
Banthas, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, banthas. So he eats a bantha, and if you guys didn't know, crate dragons, we have never seen one in person, but we have seen the skeleton of one. Star Wars nerd alert here for me. In the Phantom, or no, not in the Phantom, in A New
In A New
Hope.
Hope, right? Yeah.
Yeah. C-3PO, R2 walking on Tatooine. We see the giant skeleton of a crate dragon as they walk by at the beginning of the movie. And now we got to finally see how giant they are in real life. And man, I would just hand it over to you, man. What do you think about this sequence where they're hunting the crate dragon?
I mean, I think every sequence that we saw the Krayt Dragon on screen, I thought was incredible. I thought it was so well done.
Yeah.
CG was extremely realistic. The opposite of those droids that we have with Amy Sedaris' character. Super realistic. I love how it sort of moves the whole ground in waves, and then onward too. That seeing it in that final battle sequence, it's just so badass, and it just keeps
Yeah.
surviving wave after wave of attack. It's got I thought the vomiting was a little ridiculous, but otherwise I thought it was really good. What was acid vomit or whatever?
Pretty Star Wars though, you got to admit, to have acid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like we were kind of hinted at before, that's when we get the giant, full screen IMAX camera shots and the detail, especially on my TV. I like to brag about my new TV. 4K Dolby Vision did it wonders, man. It looked amazing on my TV. Yeah, bro. What'd you think about one of my favorite shots in this, where Timothy Oliphant puts on Boba Fett's helmet, and we get to see Mando and Timothy Oliphant, the Marshal, wearing Boba Fett's armor, standing next to each other, geared up to battle a crate dragon. I thought that was such a cool shot.
Awesome shot, and I think there was some awesome chemistry between those two in that whole sequence, leading, of course, to how Mando's able to destroy the crate dragon, sort of not really talking to Timothy Oliphant, and just sort of cutting his jetpack or whatever. So he goes just sort of flying away. So, the Mandalorian can take care of business. And
a callback to when Boba Fett's backpack is hit by Han Solo and he falls in the Sarlacc pit, right? It's still functional to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And what'd you think about Mando's kill of the crate dragon and the ensuing aftermath?
So awesome. I mean, you knew something was gonna happen, with the banthas. I thought as soon as you saw them loading up the explosives on them, I thought that was the original plan. Honestly, I thought they were just gonna have a bunch of banthas out there, whichever one it chose to eat, they were gonna blow it up. But of course, they tried to attack the stomach first. Lure it out. But I thought that was an awesome sequence, well executed. Obviously there's so much CG going on there with the flying around, and then he comes out with his stun gun or whatever you want to call it. Still all zapping, and after the explosion, I thought it was awesome sequence.
And for me, I was thinking, man, I could tell this is the most expensive TV show ever made. Even more expensive than like Game of Thrones and some other HBO stuff. I could tell that Disney wrote a blank check and said, Jon Favreau, make the best season premiere you can make for season 2. Yeah. And I love that. And I think, unless you have anything else you want to talk about in this sequence, let's talk about that amazing cameo cliffhanger at the end. Mando gets the Boba Fett's armor, gets it returned, so he can, that's part of his creed, is why he wants it, right? He just needs to capture all the Mandalorian armor that is in the wrong hands. So he gets the armor, makes friends with Timothy Oliphant, and Baby Yoda and Mando are riding the speeder bike off into our twin sunset, which was really a cool shot. But not yet. We get to see a hooded figure holding a Tusken Raider blaster on his back, and he turns around and faces the camera, and we get to see Tamora Morrison, or better known as the actor that's played Jango Fett, but in this, he will be playing Boba Fett. He's alive. What was your reaction?
So excited. Didn't know at first who it was. Had to go and obviously look it up. Not as in tune as what the Star Wars actors would look like today, because looking very different, obviously.
Yes, totally.
But when I saw that, and you see it, so excited. Because like I said, I thought Timothy Oliphant was going to be Boba Fett, But either way, just the fact that Boba Fett is alive, a character that I think is so awesome and so underutilized in the Star Wars films. We see him have an untimely death. So knowing that he's still alive and learning a bit more about him, I think you said that his character, you learn more about him in the Clone Wars, which I'm watching right now.
A
But
little bit of
still just
background, yeah.
really excited to see how this story arc goes on and, learning more about Boba Fett and why he had the Mandalorian armor. Because I think from what we've talked about, he's not a Mandalorian.
Right. His dad, you learn about this a little in the Clone Wars, Ryan, so I'll just explain it to you now.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to see Mandalore in the Clone Wars, they kind of have a throwaway line where they say, they talk about Jango Fett and they say, oh, Jango Fett was never a Mandalorian. He was an outcast that was banished from Mandalore. And he was from one of the planets, Concord Dawn, that was not Mandalore, the planet. It was one of the moons of Mandalore. So that's kind of the backstory, but you don't really need to know that much. So, maybe we'll get to learn a little bit more about Boba Fett in this. And I love the look that they gave Tamora Morrison in this one, man. The scars on his face, the wrinkled skin. He'd be about, Boba Fett, he'd be about 40-ish or 50 in this time because, this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So, that's another, I don't know. I mean, I was shocked to see that they actually put him in this. Maybe, I don't know if you have any, Ryan, but do you have any predictions about where this can go in episode 2 or just the rest of the season?
I don't. This caught me by such surprise how great this season premiere was that I don't have predictions. I'm just, excited to be along for the ride.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'll give a little bit of a idea of where I'm going. Just based on what we saw in the trailer, I think that we're going to see Ahsoka in this. I have a strong suspicion we're going to be seeing Ahsoka. Maybe not episode 2, but a few episodes down the road, we're going to see Ahsoka. And as far as Boba Fett's involvement, now that it's confirmed that he's going to be in this, I think now that he knows Mando has his armor, he's found his armor, he's tracking it down, and not only has he found a Mandalorian, but he's found a Force-wielding baby who, he's against the Jedi, obviously. Right. Boba Fett, Mace Windu killed his father. Maybe that is also another plot, a vendetta against, and I just want to see Boba Fett versus Mando. That would be so incredible.
Yeah. No, I would definitely like to see that. You're absolutely right. I think the one thing that I would say was missing from this episode that I was hoping they'd get to right away, but obviously, we got to be patient, is, we know the Jedi are going to come into play in this season, and I was hoping they'd touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously they didn't, but still not complaining because they came out with a really great product.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think? We should end it here?
Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about this episode. 8.5 out of 10 from me, 8 out of 10 from you, Dom. We both would highly recommend, for those of you that haven't seen season 1, get on that, go through episodes 1 through 8, take a weekend, socially distance, and watch The Mandalorian episodes 1 through 8, and now episode 9. Get ready. We're going to be bringing you these reviews the night of the episode drops pretty much every week. So stay tuned. And Dom, you want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. And, you kind of reminded me of something we should probably do, Ryan, and, make sure other people are aware of it too. Group watch is a thing on Disney Plus. So, if you're like me and RB, we are friends, best buddies, but we live far away from each other. Maybe next week we'll, group watch this one together over Disney Plus's feature. It will block out a part of time where you and I could watch that together. That would be pretty awesome. I think, you could go ahead and do that with your buddies as well. And of course, leave a comment down below. What'd you think of Chapter 9, The Marshal, Mandalorian Season 2? What were your thoughts, negatives, positives, predictions? Do you have any predictions or theories? What'd you think about Boba Fett's awesome cameo at the end? Let us know down below in the comments, and like and subscribe for more videos, as well as you can also listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. On those, you can leave us a 5-star review. Let us know your thoughts, all of that junk. And you can follow me at Dom Gonzalez 48. That's on Instagram and Twitter. RB, you can follow him on Instagram at RB_the_SID. And on Twitter, you can follow him at RB with the call. So, follow us there. Send us a message if you like the episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later, guys.
See you next week.